Everyone lived underground. They lived underground, and each person kind of had a small cocoon, chrysalis kind of area they could move around in. And it was miserable, as you can imagine. It was pitch black, it was tight, it was uncomfortable, it was cramped, and the people cried out to Abba Banili, to the Creator. And the Creator felt sorry for them. And he began to free them from their little chrysalises. And as they kind of got out, they dug up. And they came out of the ground, and they came out of a great mound. And as they climbed down, things were much better in that they could move around. But there were animals out there. And it's still pitch black. And everybody, including the animals, kind of bumped around. And bumped around and bumped around. And you kind of grabbed and ate whatever you could, and you hoped whatever you grabbed didn't eat you back. And it was really a pretty miserable existence. It was better than before, but it wasn't much better. And they began to talk about what they would do and what they needed to do. And it was discovered that there were two giants far away, and they had something called fire. And they guarded it jealously and wouldn't let anybody have it. And the animals began to talk about how could we get to the giants and get just a little bit of that fire. And each animal talked, and each animal had its idea. And Buzzard said, I'll go. I'm going to fly up, and I am going to go as fast as I can. And I'll grab just an ember, and I'll come back. So he flew up, and all the animals and people waited, and he flew up, and he got high, and he got right over the giants, and as he dove down, he plucked out one ember and tossed it up, and it landed on the back of his neck. And he thought, I'll fly home. And as he began to fly home, Buzzard had beautiful plumage, and it began to smoke. And soon the ember had consumed all of the plumage off his head, and he was left with this ugly, burnt-looking head sticking out of these beautiful black feathers, and the ember burned itself out. And he came home very embarrassed. Next was Crow, and Crow said, I'll go and get it. I'm happy to get it. So he flew as fast as he could, and he darted past the giants, and he grabbed the ember in his beak, and he began to fly back as quickly as he could, and the faster he flew, the ember began to get hotter and burn his beak, and he opened his mouth, and the ember shot down his neck, and his beautiful voice was gone. And when you hear Crow, it's because he's still burning. And each animal gave a thing, and finally, Chafkan Sapokni, the old spider, grandmother's spider, she kept saying, I could go. And they ignored her because she was tiny. I could go. And we have things to do. So they came to the possum. And the possum said, well, I know, I'll get it. I can sneak right in there and get it. And, I'm good in the dark. And he snuck past the giants. And he got the ember. And he tied it to his tail. And as you can guess, the beautiful, beautiful tail that Possum was so proud of burnt up, and he came back with this naked pink kind of rat thing. And he was very upset. And they were still in the dark. And finally, Grandmother Spider said, I'm telling you, I can go. And the people said, what the heck? We've got nothing else to lose. Spider spun a small parachute and cast herself into the wind, and she floated gently past the giants. And as she was dropping down, she used her silk and she spun a basket and made a beautiful little basket with a little lid. And she plucked out an ember and put the lid on it, cast her parachute, and she floated back into the encampment where the animals and the people sat. And they lit the fire, and the world had light. And it was joyous, and it was great, except for you have to tend to fire all the time. Fires go out. And each animal kind of took their turn, but the buffalo would rather be grazing, and the grizzly bear would rather be doing grizzly bear things, and each animal was just bored, and the birds that had gotten burned said, not I. Possum said, have you seen my tail? Not I. And eventually, the animals came to a decision, and they said, the two-legged kind of skinny things over there that aren't very aggressive and have no claws. This would be a great job for them because they're kind of boring. And that is how people became the keeper of the fire and light came into the world. I'd like to say thank you very much, and I think we're going to finish up our evening with some more great music.